Hello, it is another Tuesday, which of course means it's time for another in real life video. And this week we are taking a general viewer submitted question. As per usual, feel free to submit your own in the comments below. It will get added to our ever growing and ever shrinking list. You can also request a ranking video, which I think we ought to do a few rankings coming up here soon, especially now that I'm feeling significantly better after being sick for, I don't know, like a week and a half, 2 weeks or something like that. Varying states of being sick. I feel like I'm very close to being back to 100%. I'm probably like 90 to 99% somewhere right now. Recorded a nice standard, new standard length of 2-hour Morrowind Mondays. Did pretty good, even did the voices, didn't have to cough at all. Voice did get a little hoarse toward the end, I noticed, but otherwise feeling pretty good, right? Every so often I got like sniffle or sneeze or cough, but it's super sporadic. Feeling pretty good. Getting back to business as usual. Anyway, speaking of business as usual, let's get to the topic of this video. In the lower third of your screen right about now should be the username of the general viewer who submitted this question. Should be somewhere down there. Let me bring it up real quick. They wrote in asking, are there any games that you used to love but now struggle to enjoy? This could be a specific game, a game series, or even a whole game genre. This is a question somewhat similar to stuff that we have like spoken on before, but not quite exactly. For the most part, this doesn't really affect me except for one major realm. A lot of the games that I've liked before, I still like when it comes to genres. A lot of the franchises, well, I guess, you know, franchises come and go, right? Right. This is sort of at the forefront of when it comes to being into video games. You start to realize, you know, the more you're into something, whether that be video games or like books or film or television or whatever, you start to pay less attention to the intellectual property, the franchise, if you will, and more so the people involved in it. Do you like a specific like director or actor or whatever, you know, then you start to follow them around, even within like a singular company. There may be multiple people who are creative directors, and sometimes it's someone who, you know, oh, I know, I really tend to enjoy games where Sam Lake or Josh Sawyer tend to be the creative director. I really gel with their style. I like it a lot. Even when people tend to regard them as missing, I really like it. But other times, you know, maybe someone else takes a spin at the same IP and you maybe like it less, or it plays out a bit differently, but you can still appreciate it on some level. All of that is neither here nor there. There are some games which, you know, don't really have an end to them that I don't play anymore. Like maybe the biggest example, well, no, maybe the second biggest example would be something like Team Fortress 2. I used to, in sort of the golden era of Team Fortress 2, which would be a year or two leading, I would describe it as a year or two leading up to the Pyro update, right? There was this period of time between, I would say, the Sniper or the Spy update, right? Around there, like the early class updates, up to the Pyro update. And then I kind of fell off of the game around the Pyro update or shortly thereafter. But they started introducing like the loot crates and stuff, which frankly Valve does not get enough what would you call it, criticism for how it revolutionized and introduced us into a fresh new hell, that being loot crates and randomized, effectively gambling, putting gambling in their games and stuff. And, you know, they got their whole Counter-Strike situation going right now with that still operating at levels unbeknownst to me. They've got it to where you can buy and sell virtual knives. It's ridiculous. I don't think they get nearly enough criticism for having done that. But that's, once again, that's neither here nor there. Team Fortress 2, man, I loved it back in the day. I mained Scout so much. I predominantly played Scout, but I enjoyed every class. If there were too many Scouts on the team or whatever, I would fuck off and do something else. I usually didn't mess around with Sniper too much because, I don't know, sniping is never terribly fun for me. But this was sort of back in the era where there were server browsers. And there was less so like any form of skill-based matchmaking, right? Which maybe admittedly led to some of my enjoyment of this, because I was sort of at that prime period in your life where you're the best at being reflexive in games. You know, this was like late teens, early 20s sort of range where you're really, really good at reacting very quickly and making super good skill shots. After that point in time, for 99% of people, it's gonna taper off, you know? Even if you're still really good, you're maybe not as good as you used to be, right? But regardless, never was a big fan of Sniper. It was just a little too laid back, a little too not getting into it. But man, I loved Scout. I loved learning sort of like the different maps. I would love some Two Fort, sort of figuring out what sort of jumps you could make. This was before like the idea of guide videos. You know, there was like a whole ecosystem of guide videos had necessarily quite kicked off. It was a lot of people who were just into it for like a hobby or whatever, right? There wasn't ever anyone who was like, oh yeah, I like Team Fortress 2. Thus, maybe I should make a whole bunch of guides about Team Fortress 2 and this could just become like what I do for a living, right? It was mostly just people sharing their own clips of the damn game or stupid montages and the occasional homoerotic machinima, right? It's Team Fortress 2. Come on. But dude, I loved it so much. Learning where you could do the triple jumps with the force of nature. Oh my gosh, there were some amazing jumps you could do on like double cross. We're getting into some very deep cuts mentioning these specific maps. But man, I loved it so much. These days, I just can't I can't bring myself to get back into it, which isn't to say that, like, you know, if they came out with a Team Fortress 3, I wouldn't be all over it. But, you know, I had my time with it. I enjoyed it. I collected my hats. I made a play at getting the golden wrench during the engineer update. It was fun. It was time well spent. And so much enjoyment was had there. It was fantastic. It was some fantastic escapism during some very low points. Let's be real. But I have very little desire to go back to it. I'll mess around in a competitive shooter here or there, but that said, there's competitive shooters just aren't popping off in quite the same way these days. For the most part, competitive shooters, which not to say like you're playing on a ranked competitive level, they tend to be cloistered within like the modern military shooter. There's nothing quite like Team Fortress 2, you know, even the Halos of the world aren't really like popping off currently, right? It's just not what's popular. They're just not getting made. And even when there's good ones out there, people just ain't playing them, right? I love an arena shooter, but for the most part, it's sequestered to single player experiences only because just ain't many people out there interested in playing some Quake or whatever, you know? And the people who are extremely good and make you not want to play the game anymore because they keep headshotting you with the railgun from like 1,000,000 miles away while traveling at like 125 miles per hour, right? And it's not fun to get blasted on that type of level. But regardless, I don't know, modern military shooters, I like them a little here and there. You know, like I futzed around with the Battlefield 6 open beta or whatever, and I enjoyed my time there, but it wasn't enough to the point where like I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to pick up the game myself and play it. I don't know. I kind of already had my fun in Battlefield with Battlefield 2 or 3. I think 3. Yeah, I played Battlefield 3 a whole lot back in the day. I never really got into Call of Duty. Stuff like that. Nowadays you have, it's sort of, I guess when it comes to these sorts of shooters, it's mostly like Battlefield and COD right now are the main ones. There's Battle Royales, which, I don't know, I kind of just enjoy Fortnite very casually. I've mentioned this before. I play it mostly with friends or to catch up on my like battle pass if I decide to buy it or whatever, right? For the next time we play as like friends or whatever. But I'm not seeking out like, I don't know, you know, if there's Apex Legends or whatever, I messed around with that at launch, but meh. PUBG, when it first came out, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, that was fun, but then, you know, it spiraled out of control, became super popular, basically invented a whole genre of game. And these days, I don't know, it's lost the novelty for me. You know, it feels like there's a lot of sitting around doing not much. You know, you do a whole lot, you gather up some crap, and then you die, and I don't know, that's supposed to be fun. It's not. It's not for me. It's not for me if I die that often, that much. It's not something I want to play on the reg. Here and there, sporadically, sprinkled in with some other stuff, sure. There's also the, what do you even call them? The like precision shooters. Do you know what I'm talking about? Stuff like Counter-Strike. You know, the new Counter-Strike 2. Valorant is doing this. I do not care for those. It's far too sweaty. Generally, I don't like anything where you have to be a little too, I don't know, locked in on it. When it comes to multiplayer, I've done that before in other genres of games, which we'll get into later in just a bit. And I just don't have a desire to do it anymore. I'm not into it. I've played so much of that I'm just not into it anymore. There's also the hero-based shooters and stuff, which in their own right, you know, you climb up the ranks enough, you do skill-based matchmaking. You start to run into situations where people are kind of sweating it out there too, right? You can't account on times where it's like, oh, people are just in here to fuck around and have fun. But you did too many matches where you were trying your hardest, and now you're stuck with people who are always trying their hardest when maybe one day you just want to fuck around and try to get good at playing Tracer, right? It's a difficult thing. And, you know, sometimes it's like, shit, I don't want to be a healer. I don't want to be a tank right now, but nobody else wants to be one. Holy shit, I'm back in my MMORPG days, you know? So these hero shooters and whatnot, I don't know. I have such a waning interest in them. It is nice to see Overwatch popping off again. I guess the zeitgeist of the moment has kind of got me to want to go back and try out Overwatch a little bit more. Since, you know, like I said, it's been popping off recently, from what I've heard. A pretty decent update or whatever. But beside that, as I alluded to, probably the biggest example of this is undoubtedly MMORPGs. For myself, it is so hard for me to get into an MMORPG these days. It has to be born out of nostalgia. My interest has to be born out of nostalgia. Thus, it has to be one that I've played before. So I messed around a bit with the City of Heroes / City of Villains private servers. Part of me always like thinks in the back of my mind, ooh, it would be fun to like get into that again and have like a nice relaxing time. Just kind of like knocking out quests, listening to a video or a podcast, just kind of screwing around in that way. It's kind of like a cozy experience. It's a relaxed vibe. I enjoyed the idea of it. But the issue is that always there is this part of the experience that draws me in where I kind of do partly want to experience the stuff where it's like, oh, 5-man groups. Let's start amping up the difficulty. Let's start fine-tuning our gear and all of that. Oh, how about raids? How about 10, 25, 40-man raids and stuff? Do I want to mess around with that and try and get involved in that again? And I don't know that I do. I don't know that I do. This is what I was alluding to. When I played World of Warcraft, I played it very religiously. I played it like a job. I played it like work before I had to work, right? And the realization of that is kind of what turned me off of it ultimately at the end of the day. But it still would be nice to go back to something like World of Warcraft and, chill out in Elwyn Forest, go through Orgrimmar or whatever, right? Listen to the music. You call me sometimes I'm listening to the ambient music that plays in Westfall. Sometimes I'll boot up the Elwyn Forest sound effect and I can just basically hear the human male combat barks. Oh, or their laugh. Do you know what I'm talking about? Good Lord. Or the Dunmorrow shit. Oh my gosh, for the gnomish area. Holy cow. But I really, really enjoy my time in that. And I made such great memories and fantastic friends. But it's so hard for me to go back to MMORPGs. Least of all, it's difficult to go back and play any new ones, right? I think there was just recently that Ashes of Creation game, which a lot of people who have not given up the dream of MMORPGs were very excited for. And it recently ran into some major problems or something. I vaguely paid attention to that news. But I have like zero interest in it. I had like next to zero hype for it. Thus, I have to acknowledge that the only lingering interest I have in MMORPGs to this day, it's either rooted in nostalgia or it's rooted in the fact that I want to play Elder Scrolls Online because of all the Elder Scrolls stuff, right? But the hotkey MMO part, the combat, the actual game itself, I have significantly less interest in, and I feel like sometimes detracts from my enjoyment or attempts to enjoy the other sections, where, hey, I would like to go through that game dealing damage and fighting stuff in the same way that I do in a single player Elder Scrolls experience. I want to have a shield and I want to have like a little stupid hammer. I want to bonk stuff on the head with both of those. And if I do that in that game, I'm operating on a sufficiently lesser level than someone who is going through doing solo questing experiences and just wiping through enemies because they're a DPS build. No? Am I incorrect in that? Unless they like massively rebalanced how stuff works, I can't have my cake and eat it too, because if I'm using a shield, I'm naturally inclined to tanking. And thus, if I go that route, if I do decide to chase the gear, I kind of want to, I think like, man, maybe I should do 5-mans and stuff. And then I realized, God, maybe I fucking hate doing the 5-man stuff, because on one level, you have to learn all of the encounters and stuff. You feel like if you go into like a dungeon, a 5-man dungeon or larger, some type of raid, this is also why I had waning interest in stuff. I guess my more recent connection to this sort of gameplay, that being in Destiny, a shooter version of it, but this was still years ago, mind you. But I recognize, like, well, on one level, there's this performance anxiety that you get where it's like, okay, I need to learn the encounters, what I need to do as my sort of character for this. And once I learn it, then I just go through and I keep doing it. And when other people don't do it, I get upset because they are not doing it right. Right? It sucks. It sucks to me that there is no ability for these people to fuck up on some major level and it still be enjoyable. Right? To see them sort of screw up and me be able to still carry it through on my own. Or conversely, on the other end of things, if I'm still learning the encounter, there isn't necessarily as much forgiveness or room for me to learn it myself. Thus, the whole like group aspect of it in that way both draws me in and repulses me, right? It's a difficult situation to be in. But I still I love the like more casual nature of it. And when I was playing stuff like World of Warcraft and I was hitting up like, you know, I was the most serious about World of Warcraft toward the latter half of the Burning Crusade and the first half of Wrath of the Lich King, right? When Ulduar was really popping off. Once it started to wane a bit, it was like, God, when is Icecrown Citadel finally? Geez, when are we finally going to fight Arthas? I didn't make it that far. I fell off of the game around that. I was like, okay, I don't know if I can wait around this long to finally fight Arthas and all of that. I kind of fell off of it. Eventually, I came back a little bit for Cataclysm, but I was like, now that I've maxed out my character, do I really want to even futz around with anything else? Not really. Oh, I went back for Legion and I enjoyed Legion, but I sort of hit the same situation. I maxed out my character, did a lot of the quests, hung out a bit. And then I was like, well, I guess we're just going to do raiding. And I don't know if I want to devote like an hour, 2 hours, 3, 4 hours to hanging out with a bunch of people and wiping on like the fucking whatever druid nightmare encounter, right? I don't know if I want to do that. Like, it's funny sometimes, but the amount of payoff, the amount of like neurons firing that feel good in my brain are not worth it for the amount of time investment. I already had my enjoyment. I already fought Mimiron. I already went through and did Karazhan. Stuff like that. I don't regret that time spent. I very much enjoyed it, but it's so difficult to go back into that idea of thinking like, okay, I'm going to fine tune my gear. Because if I did want to play like a role playing game where I'm fine tuning my gear, I'm either going to boot up like a Souls like, or I'm going to hit up something like Diablo or Path of Exile, where I can play that kind of single player. You know, I can go around and level up my witch and be like, okay, I want to be a minion build and see how well I can do that. And I don't feel like, okay, I'm impeding anyone else because I'm making mistakes. I don't feel like anyone else, I don't have to be like, oh gosh, I have to group up with this fool. Then they're impeding me. They're impeding me now. It's a lot more chill. You know, I get the same sort of dopamine hit from playing something like Path of Exile or whatever. It's lower stakes, I feel. There are parts of those games, though, that, like I said, do call out to me. One of the biggest aspects that has called out to me is like player housing. That does sound kind of fun. And I think it's also indicative of the fact of, and I think I've heard this remarked before, it's that there's very few young people who are setting out thinking like, I'm going to play World of Warcraft. You know, the fan base, the demographic of folks who are playing something like World of Warcraft these days is aging, right? There's no fresh blood. It's predominantly people coming back to try it out and they stick with it, right? Or it's, you know, you are within that demographic. You're like in your early 30s or whatever, and you're like, oh, how about I try and get some of my coworkers who have never played WoW. We try and try this out, right? Or I've got a brother or sister or whoever. Let's try and get them into it. We've been playing some other game. Let's see if they can get into it. Oh, my partner or whoever, can I force this upon them in some way and show them this strange esoteric game that I spent so much time in? And on that level, I do think it is enjoyable. But then, like I said, at a certain point, chasing the dragon of like excellence in group PvE or PvP, it annoys me, right? I want it to have like, I want there to be a cozy game adjacent treadmill. You know, I want there to be stuff like that But the issue is I see my gear and I see it. And I'm like, well, I gotta get these numbers up. Right. And then I feel shitty about it that I can't ever get these numbers up because I don't want to commit anymore these days to that life, right? To the life of giving it up for the raid, you know? I don't want to chase that dragon. I'm not about that anymore. But like I said, the housing update for WoW, it sounds fun. It sounds enticing. It kind of makes me want to get it again. The big holdback, though, is that, one, you know, it's Microsoft and now owns them. But also, $15 a month. Bit of an ask, you know, bit of an ask still. Makes it difficult to hit download and try it out when I have other things at my fingertips and other games that I could spend that money on and buy and play and almost assuredly have a very good time with. But that's sort of at the forefront of it. It's not, I wouldn't say it's the genre as a whole. Well, I don't know. Maybe it is the genre as a whole, and the exception is things I have a nostalgia connection to, or I have an interest in the world building or story or lore or whatever, in the case of ESO. I struggle with those. And I used to love them so much that I played them, and I guess I just burnt out on them. Right? I had, in World of Warcraft, which is the one that I played the most, but you know, rest assured, I played plenty of other MMORPGs. I would try stuff out. There was the fantasy Warhammer one that had some minor amount of like character morphing. I tried that out. I tried like Terra. I tried Rift, Plains of Talara. I tried Dungeons and Dragons Online, which I think is still going. I tried Champions Online, and I did really enjoy Champions Online for the same reason I enjoyed City of Heroes and Villains City of X. The character customization is just fun. It's just fun to like concept a character and like send them through the levels and be like, yeah, look at that. They're fucking cool, right? That was the draw of it. Doing little costume contests in those games were enjoyable. My first paid MMO, I guess, was Anarchy Online, which I really enjoyed. I got into it free, and then I also like subbed up to it at a certain point because I had to go to the Shadowlands with my nano mage or my engineer. I played an engineer. I very much enjoyed that stuff with like RuneScape. I enjoyed the social aspect of it. Oh my God. I remember signing up for a membership and just beating the shit out of rock crabs or whatever they were in this like grayscale beach. I was like, what am I doing? Right? What am I doing? Like asking my mom every month to send me a little dough so I can like middle school me can level up my longsword ability or my combat ability, I think it was, right? I'm just grinding on fucking crabs out here, dude. This sucks ass. Right? The realization hit me. The most fun that I had in those games was doing stuff like setting up a player-run shop where I sold potatoes. Talking with people and doing stupid shit with them, right? Trying to scam people. This takes me back to like some of my favorite memories in World of Warcraft. It wasn't doing the fucking 5-mans necessarily. It was talking to my friends in the middle of the 5-mans. The times when we parked our stupid, enormous mammoth mounts that we just got in Wrath of the Lich King on top of the 2 main mailboxes in Ironforge, to where other people had to run around to the other mailbox just to access their mail. And we pretended to be AFK and we were just talking on Ventrilo, laughing about the whole thing as people were so pissed. They were literally messaging our guild master saying like, your guildmate is blocking the Ironforge mailbox You need to make him stop. Yeah, right. You're gonna make me stop. I'm the fucking main tank, baby. You can't. Yeah, you think they're gonna kick me from the guild? Good luck finding another tank with this shit enchanted on his fucking pants. Right? You know how much extra HP I got on these pants? Fuck off. Doing stuff like in Nax Ramus when they came out with this toy car, this remote controlled car. Gosh, we're just running down memory lane. My friend and I, we found out that, oh, you can actually aggro enemies with the toy car. So as the group was getting started and we were in a guild that, there were some people in there who were a little stupid. And what can I say? We were both chilling with our new RC cars, which of course in true World of Warcraft holiday item fashion, you could only use it every like 15, 30 fucking minutes just to pop out a stupid little remote control car. But we both used ours to pull the boss and wipe half of the damn raid, and it was so fucking funny. And it was terrible. It was terrible what we did. It was awful what we did. But God, it was so funny. And they didn't even know that it was us because of the remote control cars. They weren't piecing it together, dude. They weren't piecing it together. And all of the stupid instances of guild drama was so funny. Like being a damn high schooler / middle schooler hanging out with these grown ass adults, having like having wild romantic tensions going on. It was so dumb and frankly inappropriate for us to be partaking in, but it was so funny. Instances as well, times when I like ran a guild, that shit was so cool. We had like guild meetups. We would go fishing. We would have like, there was like 10 to 30 of us that would show up to these meetings that I would host for bless up to Sonic Death Monkeys on Draka server US. But we would like get naked and do like a conga line from Stormwind to Westfall. We would do fishing at the stupid lake in Dunmoreau outside of Ironforge. We would try and just like emergent gameplay where, oh, there's someone made a damn night elf character and I guess they're just too good to level up in Teldrassil. So we had to escort them like 10 to 30 minutes from there to the human area of Elwyn Forest because they wanted to play as a low level in that area. They didn't want to have to wait. So we would have to run them through like horde territory. We'd have to go through like higher level stuff in the wetlands. Oh my God. Shit like that was the most memorable. That was the most fun stuff. That was the shit that didn't feel like a job. And like I said, the stuff like the having a player house, that does appeal to me on that level, right? That seems like the type of shit that where you're making memories and you're not just fucking grinding for gear or whatever, right? Where you're having like some good banter with people over voice chat and something stupid is happening, you know? There are so many incredible memories and with other folks and even by myself doing stuff in those games where, I don't know, I had my fun. You know, I had my fun. I'm okay just letting it live there in my mind and kind of being ephemeral in that way. I'm okay with it. I've accepted the ephemeral nature of it, that those are memories that will someday die with me. Right? I had my fun. I enjoyed it. I had a blast. I don't regret anything. But that's kind of why I can't get into them anymore. MMORPGs, although I had so much fun with them, it's just chasing that gear dragon, you know, chasing that competitive nature of things. It's a drag. I realized, oh my gosh, I'm logging in doing these raids, trying to get my gear up, trying to make sure I have money for repairs when we wipe the billionth time on Memoron, right? Because motherfuckers just can't figure out how to crowd control a damn thing and keep something frozen from the hunter traps that we're just going to keep wiping to this damn robot. And that part wasn't fun. that part felt like work. And I realized, man, am I paying $15 a month for another job? And I was like, I think I am. I'm going to peace out. Right? Because part of the progression is constantly looking at the gamified parts of it, where it's like you're chasing the loot, you know, you're upgrading your character in this way. There's little in the way of things set up to draw out emerging gameplay where you make your fun, you know. You get all these cool memories and stuff, but at the end of the day, you look at your character sheet and you're like, shit, I wish I had the fucking sick ass heroic Trial of the Crusader shoulder pads. I do kind of wish I had that. Right? Yeah, it was so cool how in the Wrath of the Lich King launch event, me and my friends systematically spread the nightmare plague to everybody in Stormwind and screwed everyone over who was chilling at the bank or the auction house. That was so cool how we did that. How we basically wrecked the entire city. we hopped on Ventrilo and systematically infected and plagued that city for a few hours because we were just some shitty bratty kids. That rocked. Look, better us doing that than fucking breaking fluorescent light bulbs in the back of a fucking Home Depot alley, you know? We were fucking nerds. That's the kind of shit that we got up to instead of all that. But man, it was awesome. But at the end of the day, you just get the memories, and maybe the memories are good enough. That's why I can't play MMORPGs, really. It's so difficult for me to do it, right? It's anytime you get into saying like, yeah, well, here's a 5-man raid, here's a 10-man raid or whatever, I start to be like, oh God. I clench up a little bit. I'm like, oh, I remember that this is all my least favorite parts of this experience. This is the stuff I don't like, right? I remember putting in the hours to get all this stuff done, running the heroics to get the stupid Gossamer trinket. That way I would have a little bit more HP to fight fucking patches. Oh my gosh. But what a time. What a time. It was amazing, but I like it. The question nails it on the head. I loved it back in the day, but I struggle like hell to get back into it. I probably should call it here, lest I get into more nostalgic recollections of things that we got up to in World of Warcraft or whatever. Selling fucking baked potatoes when they came out with the farming skill in RuneScape Classic these days, it's called. But back in the day, it was called RuneScape 2. Anyway, that'll do it for this week. Until next time, please take care of each other.